even Moist Critical spreading misinformation that he's a leftist. Look, guys, everyone is spreading misinformation. And at a certain point, you have to realize, like, are people spreading misinformation if they're just like rehashing what high profile legacy publishers are saying? Because high profile legacy publishers are dropping the ball without doing the proper investigation. Without doing the proper investigation, they're just like moving forward with whatever sound bites they can get. And one thing that's actually interesting in this process is like no matter how biased the police are, no matter how incompetent the police are, even cops, detectives, when they're setting up a shooter profile to figure out an ideological motive for a suspect in the aftermath of a situation like this, they will go to friends, right? They will go to the friends of the shooter and they will go to the family of the shooter, but they won't actually move on with that as like key pieces of evidence until they fully fleshed out a psychographic profile for the shooter. The media, on the other hand, is so horny to not get outflanked by the likes of, I don't know, Steven Crowder or whatever, that they are deciding that some random fucking neighbor actually can give us a convincing case on who this person is, right? Oh, we went to a friend. The friend called him a leftist. And then they retract the article and they go, okay, maybe he was, maybe the friend didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. He's just like talking out of his ass. So this is what's really annoying about it, where I cannot even fault the likes of, I don't know, Moist Critical for going along with what he is seeing in the news and then responding to it. Having said that, however, like I said, given what I know about like right-wing meme profiles with shooters, the last one being the Minneapolis church shooter that we talked about. If you remember, the Minneapolis church shooter was a far-right neo-Nazi that was most likely radicalized in one of these Telegram groups, not dissimilar to the Colorado school shooter that actually shot up his school an hour after Charlie Kirk was shot and killed at UVU. And yet, the reason why I'm bringing that one up is because people said, oh, that's transgender radical Antifa. That's a transgender radical Antifa shooter. And they still are saying that. That wasn't the case. And the reason why I say that wasn't the case is because that shooter in Minneapolis very clearly showcased a meme profile that is consistent with far-right neo-Nazi, extremely nihilistic, esoteric neo-Nazi school shooters and mass shooters in general. And what I mean by that, he was venerating, you know, Anders Breivik and the Christchurch shooter, like all these different white nationalists and white supremacists. Whereas this shooter's memes did not reach that standard at all, which is why I said, Tyler Robinson, Kirk's alleged shooter, came from a Mormon family in both law enforcement and the military, but I'm not so certain if he himself was right-wing. A lot of the memes posted on the casings are ironic or of the left variety, different than previous far-right shooters. It's too soon to tell, but this is important to understand as well. I said, I think people need to understand that there's a massive online far-right wing community that hated Charlie Kirk. This is something that I've brought up as well. Nick Fuentes, contrary to popular opinion, contrary to how he's presenting himself right now, Nick Fuentes has actually said infinitely more violent shit about Charlie Kirk than I ever have. I had a more cordial relationship with Charlie Kirk as opposed to Nick Fuentes. That is the reality. That is the irony, because everyone in the far right and everyone in the right wing thinks I'm responsible for this, and they keep saying I'm the one who's responsible for this. Fuck you, Hasan, you did this. Meanwhile, if you look back at his statements, Nick Fuentes' statements about Charlie Kirk, you will see, like, he talked about fucking doing an endless amount of violence to him and also Turning Point USA and whatnot. So they have been hunting and pursuing Charlie Kirk for quite a while, as a matter of fact. So, but that doesn't really matter in this moment, because like everyone on the right is very clearly trying to get together and use this as an opportunity to attack their ideological opposition, their enemies. They're using this as an opportunity to say, like, no, it's the left that's hateful and all this stuff. So that's what's so crazy about this entire situation too. Because like as far as I can remember, I don't think I've ever said anything that's remotely as violent about Charlie Kirk as like Nick Fuentes has.